It's an absolutely rough day in the world of Magic the Gathering. There is a ton of anger swirling around in the Magic community right now, specifically because of how badly things have gone at the Final Fantasy pre-release. This set has some serious issues. And to add icing on the cake, today's Secret Lair Super Drop also has some serious issues.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another fat installment of Mega Magic News. This one is the Final Fantasy pre-release Disaster Edition. There are a number of issues with this set. Unfortunately, the same kind of stuff that we were seeing with Tarkir is happening again, and obviously this is going to have a bigger negative impact. On top of that, Wizards of the Coast is doing their new Secret Lair Super Drop. It's ongoing right now as I'm recording this video, and there are some big problems cropping up with that as well. But before we dive in to the Final Fantasy badness, just want to let you know there is some Final Fantasy related goodness in the form of today's sponsor. Take your Magic collection to the next level with Ultra Premium Custom Tokens. Zaximus Studios has just released a set of Final Fantasy inspired custom tokens. You get over 50 different options that range across Magic's history. For example, if you love the Brothers War like I do, guess what? You've got a Power Stone token in here. On top of that, these tokens have an excellent feature that I haven't seen anywhere else, where when you flip them over on the backside, they actually have a spot for you to indicate how many tokens of this type you have tapped and how many you have untapped. They even have a Metal Monarch token fit for a king. Okay, I need you to edit it in so this crown just appears on my head. What do you mean you can't do that? I'm gonna look like a fool. And as an added bonus, you get 10% off when you use the code MyBonesHurt using the link that I have pinned down in the comment section. Final Fantasy has dropped on Magic the Gathering like a massive explosion, both causing a bunch of joy, but also causing a bunch of problems. Final Fantasy is Magic the Gathering's best-selling set of all time before it's even fully been released, because technically the set doesn't come out until Friday. I mean, let's be real. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to a Magic set, once they do the pre-release, that set is out because you can get pretty much everything. Not everybody can. You might have to wait until stuff is available through your local Target or whatever, depending on where you are. But the majority of people get access to the cards, and that is evident by the fact that you will see massive amounts of price crashing and things like that happen right after pre-release weekend. But Final Fantasy is an interesting beast. This set is going to be successful regardless of the problems that they are having with it. But ultimately, with products like this, you want to be bringing in more people who are going to stick around. And if you give them a bad experience as their first experience, that is not going to be ideal for retaining your customers. And one of the biggest question marks about Universe Beyond is, can this actually turn into something that is viable long term and ends up bringing people in to stay with Magic? Or is it essentially the new era of tourism Magic, where somebody pops in for a moment, says cool, grabs the Final Fantasy stuff, and then dips out? And the tourist stuff becomes more likely when you combine the price tag of this stuff with the quality issues that we're dealing with. So I have seen a wide range of issues. In some ways, Final Fantasy is doing better than Tarkir for quality, and in other ways, it's doing surprisingly worse. One example is the commander decks. I have already seen at least 3 different instances of commander decks where the entire deck is miscut. And these commander decks are insanely expensive, depending on where you are in the world. Where I am right now in Canada, the Commander decks cost basically twice as much as Commander decks from previous sets, right? And this is like, yo, do you like Final Fantasy X? Well, guess what? Pretty much every Final Fantasy X card is in here. There are a few in the main set, but you're going to get the majority of them here. Same goes for Final Fantasy VI. All 4 of the different Commander decks. So you've got these horribly miscut cards. You have cards that have the crazy sun bleaching where the top half of the card looks like it was just taped to a window in the sun. You've got back of cards where literal ink blobs are missing. You've got extra ink blobs. You've got a bunch of crimps. You've got banged up edges to products. And it's not even just the damaged cards themselves. I went down to the pre-release on Friday, and the owner of the game store had to show me. He was flabbergasted. He's like, check out this bundle box that I got. And he showed it to me, and it was completely ripped. The lid of it was just shredded, right? And he shows me the insert that comes along with it as well, with the little punch outs and stuff. He's like, okay, check, this is all beat up. But then check the packaging it came in. The packaging it came in was pristine, which means this wasn't beat up through shipment. This didn't happen when it was being shipped to the distributor. This didn't happen when it was being shipped to the store. This happened before it even got put in the box. This is a new kind of error that I remember with previous bundles where we had issues with the little, well, they used to be called fat packs, right? But they came with the little books that would show you everything. And I remember the Mildew War the Spark, I believe, was where they discontinued those. But this is a new one where the bundle boxes are straight up coming out smashed. And actually another issue that's making people mad with the bundle specifically is if you take a look on the back of the bundle, it makes it look like you're going to get a Sephiroth and a Lightning card in there, right? So it's like, oh, check it out. I'm actually getting some sweet, desirable cards. And so you look and it goes, oh, no, it says 2 legendary cards. And so I've had multiple people. First of all, there were people who thought they were getting Sephiroth and Lightning who were unhappy. Then you had people who thought, oh, well, I guess we can get any mythic rare from the set. And it turns out that you can totally just get hosed with 2 random uncommons in the bundles, right? So I've seen a bunch of people complaining about that. On top of the actual, like, different variations of damage to the cards, the only thing I haven't seen from Tarkir, I should say, the only thing I haven't seen from Final Fantasy that I did see for Tarkir was crazy ink bleeding on the front of the card. Other than that, every other issue has been seen. And then with pre-release kits, I've had multiple reports of people saying they were missing boosters, multiple people saying they were missing promos, multiple people saying they got extra promos. Obviously, for the people who got extra promos, that's not considered a negative experience for them, but that is obviously showing that the allocation of everything is messed up. And on top of that, some poor schmo got himself, instead of his promo from Final Fantasy, it was a random one Nomad's Outpost from Tarkir, just in the little cellophane package. Like, it's the most ridiculous nonsense. You look at it, it's like, okay, so I didn't get a promo, or this is supposed to be my promo. I'm missing boosters. I'm missing boosters from my pre-release kit. All the stuff is crazy damaged. Everything that matters is in the collector boosters, right? Chasing the serialized chocobos, and actually talking about the chocobos, it's getting pretty wild. There's the different colors of chocobo. The black version of the chocobos are going for like $2,000 to $5,000 right now. That is the rough level they're at. But where the real insanity comes in is with the serialized chocobos. There's only 77 of these special ultra glorious chocobos, and a few of them have been found. They've actually been located, and the information about them is somewhat sketchy. Somebody posted one on eBay for $200,000. There is no way on this earth that they're going to go for $200,000, right? But there's also rumblings that there's been a private sale of one for like $30,000, which, I mean, I don't know where the price point is for this. There's only 77 of them. Final Fantasy is a hot product, but 30 G's is a lot of money. That's not 100% confirmed, right? So Final Fantasy is also making people mad on MTGO, which, if you didn't know, is the precursor to Magic Arena, where you actually can go on and you can build sets and redeem them and have them send you physical sets. So you can play Magic on there, do drafts. MTGO is way closer to real Magic than Arena is, because Arena has a bunch of under the hood kind of things and matchmaking stuff that they do that MTGO doesn't do. If you do a draft, you just play against the people in that draft. Whereas on Arena, they'll try and match you up and keep your win rate at about 50%, as opposed to just letting you steamroll like the drafts. But that's an aside. Don't let me get too off track. But regardless, MTGO lets you build sets, and then you can submit them to Wizards, and Wizards will remove that set from your account, and then they'll physically mail you out a set, right? But with Final Fantasy, that is not an option. So that is another thing that's causing some genuine annoyance. So Final Fantasy is a weird beast. The quality is not there. Wizards of the Coast, I mean, obviously, they're lucky in that it's not quite as bad as Tarkir, but there is a ton of quality issues, to the point where when I was at the pre-release this weekend, there was actually somebody visiting from America. He's like, my wife and my kid went out and I got to sneak away for a few hours, so I'm here for this pre-release. And he was a really friendly guy, and he cracked open his packs and he just started talking, and he's just like, why are these cards such poor quality? I don't understand. He's showing me, and it's all bashed up along the edges. And I know, I mean, cards have been like this for the last X number of years. It's why I refuse to collect a foil set of the Brothers War. Even Magic 30, you guys remember that, right? Who doesn't? The thing that caused the biggest outcry in the entirety of Magic's history. Well, guess what? That was also printed with absolute garbage borders. And so I said to the guy, that's how they operate now, bro. It's the shareholders. And he said, I don't understand, though. Wouldn't it just cost like a fraction of a cent to make these cards better quality? I was like, yeah, that's exactly how it works. It would cost them almost nothing to fix this, but they'd rather take that almost nothing for each pack, group it up, and then take it to the shareholders and go, here's a little sip, so they can drink up that money, right? So we end up getting hosed. But literally, some guy I've never even seen before, had only been speaking to for the last 15 minutes, and in less than an hour, there's already a conversation about how Magic's quality is so poor. This is a pre-release that people are paying premium prices for. I don't know how much it costs where you are, but the pre-release, $70 here, okay? Because in Canada, we got the tariffs and the exchange rate, because it's an imported good. So, and it gets even crazier. You go out into places like Australia and they pay insane prices, right? So Wizards has no real excuse whatsoever for having this insane quality. Obviously, the excuse is that they just want to keep more money, right? At the end of the day, you take that little fraction and add it up across all the packs, and it adds up for them on their bottom line, and we all end up getting hosed. So, yeah, obviously Final Fantasy is a mixed bag. They did a good job on the whole flavor of it, and conceptually they put a bunch of effort into that, but more effort needs to be put in on the quality side, because it's genuinely embarrassing. Right? Like, even the Japanese printed cards, which used to be much higher quality, have also diminished considerably. Now, let's turn to talking about the secret layer. Actually, you know what? One more thing we got to talk about Final Fantasy. I almost forgot. Now, this is like fresh off the press news, and it still has to be 100% confirmed, but apparently Final Fantasy is going to be in short supply. So whatever people have now, whatever distributors have now, we apparently aren't going to be getting any more Final Fantasy until Q4, fourth quarter of the year. So if you don't know what that means, October, November, December as the time frame for more Final Fantasy stuff coming out. And I genuinely believe that that's a real possibility. You know, when you look at the reality of things, you go, Wizards is making a ton of products, right? Like, we have a pre-release every 6 or 7 weeks. They're going at, I assume, maximum capacity. I don't really know. Maybe they could hire more printer space and get even more products going. Who knows how many secret layers they're creating, like, in the background as well. But it really does feel like they've hit that sort of terminal velocity for product creation. And when you look at things like Tarkir, They did not expect the reaction to Tarkir that they got, right? They kind of buried Tarkir. Remember when they were spoiling all the different sets and we were all going, how come we're not hearing nothing about Tarkir, right? So they just kind of went, Tarkir is probably not going to be anything. It's our in-universe set. It's not going to really compete with the Universe Beyond stuff. Let's not really worry about it. Or maybe they buried it because they talked about other in-universe stuff like Edge of Eternities. Maybe they buried it because they knew the card quality was abysmal and they were just hoping to like sweep it on by. But Tarkir, despite the card quality issues, did gangbusters. It got a much better response than Aether Drift, Thunder Junction, Markov Manor, all of that. So Wizards turned around and went, okay, we've got to make more of this, right? We've got to get more cranking down the pipeline. And they told us that they would, but it's not going to be available until the end of summer. So if you look at that and go, okay, they're scrambling and it's going to take them X months to get more of the product, then it is definitely very believable that Final Fantasy will basically just kind of run out. We're in a weird situation right now where Standard is a 3-year proposition, 5 years if you count stuff like Foundations, but Foundations came out and then was impossible to find for months and months and months, and then like another little wave came out. So I think this is the new era of Magic that we're living in, where there's just going to be like spurts of stuff where it's like, bam, here you go, bam, here you go. The only sets that will be available with any regularity will be the sets that are failures. So you can go and find Aether Drift, no problem, right? But the Tarkir stuff we won't have for months, and more Final Fantasy probably isn't coming until the end of the year. That was a notice sent out by a big game store, but only one game store. So that still has to be confirmed, because that news broke about 20 minutes before I started to record this video. So we need more corroboration on that. And speaking of things we'll have more details on in the future, let's talk about the Final Fantasy Secret Layers Super Drop. These Super Drops are becoming almost a staple of Magic news and the problems that are going on with them. So obviously, if you didn't already know, they're doing their Final Fantasy based summer Super Drop Secret Layer today. It's on sale right now, and theoretically some of it might actually still be available, but I can tell you that the bundles are all gone. The bundles are all long gone, friends. So if you were hoping to get yourself some bundle action, you can forget about it. Looking at the time right before the video recording, basically they had a number of the Final Fantasy Secret Layers left at low stock, and some of the other stuff still full on available, but the bundles have all been claimed. So the mix is like 3 Final Fantasy Secret Layers. You got a Phil Foglio Secret Layer. You got a Frank Frazetta Secret Layer, and then there's at least one more in the mix. I can't remember which one it is. So the last number of times with the Super Drops ran into a situation where you would log in, go ahead and try and order your stuff, and then you would be put into a queue. And very similar situation going on this time, where some people were apparently able to order instantaneously and get their stuff, but that was a very tiny window of people. When I actually stopped by the LGS today, the game store owner, he's like, I've been sitting in this queue. It's probably going to be at least another hour. And this is a very common occurrence. And if these queues were normal and functioning properly, it wouldn't be that big an issue. You're waiting in line, but okay, I got here early, I'm gonna get my stuff. But you'll remember from previous ones that people, with the Marvel one, people had to wait like 4 or 5 hours just to be told, no, you can't buy anything. And Wizards they learned from this, apparently, going, okay, look, there were scalpers jumping the queue by using a link in a different browser. So if you had one kind of browser, let's say you're using Chrome, and let's say you're using Firefox. Well, in Chrome it works fine, in Firefox it doesn't. These are just examples. This isn't exactly how it went. But either way, you've got the two, and if you actually take your one from here, load it in here, and then pop it over here, then it will let you circumvent the line and jump you to the front of the line. So Wizards apparently closed that loop, so you couldn't do that anymore. But a new one has opened. There's a new loophole that people are reporting on right now saying, yo, here's what's going down. The scalpers can share their link with each other. So you can go through the process, finish your sale, and then you can hand that link off to somebody else, and they can use the link that you've already waded through the process for to get your sale done, and then basically you can use it too. So here you go, use this link and you'll get through. So multiple people were doing that, and other individuals were reporting that their queue times kept randomly jumping on them, where it would be like, you're in the queue, it's going to take an hour, and then later it says it's only going to take 50 minutes. Now it's saying an hour 10, and then it does it again multiple times, right? So that could easily be people sliding in the line earlier. Now, like I said, that news was happening, like this secret layer super drop is happening right now as this video is being recorded, and that news came out basically like 5 seconds before I came to record the video. So I thought that I would toss it in there and we can get more in depth with it if I've got more details or anything of that nature in another video, right? Because that's definitely newsworthy. But that wraps up the news we have to discuss today. Thanks for coming by and hearing what I have to say. Big shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. You guys rule. And I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.